talk to our good friend Chris Russel, host of the Chris Russell Show on Team 980. Brewster, what's up, bro? How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
It could have turned out a misery Monday, and it should have never got to that point based on what happened there at the end. But kind of just give us your general takeaway from the win. Look,
win's a win, buddy.
Even though it's a bad team, it's not easy to go on the road and win games. Especially, it's not like they're the Chiefs or the Bills or the Lions, or the Eagles. I mean,
it's a team that won 4 games last year.
Team that won 4 games, and they got some injuries, and they don't have as much talent as some of these other teams. But you'll take the win, 2019.
Yeah. It was about as ugly of a win, of course, as everybody's going to say, as you can get. But I was just seeing, before I came on with you guys, Jay Gruden, who just cheap gratuitous plug, will join me at 3:00 later on today, as he does each and every Monday, said, I love ugly wins, and listen, I'm sure Dan Quinn is saying basically the same thing. Ooh, we got a lot to clean up. Tell the Truth Monday, all the gimmicky stuff that they do, right? It almost sounds like a WWE promotion sometimes that they'd run out of there. But the bottom line is there's a lot to fix, but you'd rather fix it at 9 wins and 9-5 and off of a win, as scary as it was, than not. I still can't. I don't know about you guys. I haven't been able to listen to the show yet this morning, but I still can't wrap my arms around. You had the ball for almost 41 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 326 to 245 edge, which is not tremendous, but it's significant. You were 9 of 17 on third down. You held them to 3 of 11 on third down. You had a 14-0 lead, actually a 17-0 lead, and it like all of that, and it came down to the final play, and you very well could have lost. Now, we could argue from now until the cows come home that they shouldn't have been in that position in a lot of different ways, and especially at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you had that kind of statistical dominance and you barely won and could have lost is amazing.
I will say this, though. They just burned the clock. I mean, if you look at their first 2 possessions, they went 12 plays up, and then they scored that touchdown, right, to Terry. The second time they got the ball, they went 10 plays, burned a lot of clock, and then...
But can I say something to that?
That's what they do. I mean, they're not quick strike,
But let me say something.
They're not explosive. Although they missed a couple of explosive opportunities in the second. Well, think about this, EB. I'm just going to point this out before I lose track, and then I'll shut up. Remember on that first drive, guys, as sloppy as it was, Cosme had a holding penalty because they had penetration. OZ had the illegal shift, which wiped out one of his touchdowns, or a touchdown. They eventually got it. But think about this. Before that, they kicked a field goal that was taken off the board because New Orleans committed a penalty. And if that field goal stands, right, and the penalty does not happen or get called, which happens all the time, that's 3 points instead of 7 points.
Correct.
And maybe they don't win.
They're getting breaks this year, man.
How weird is that?
They're getting a lot of breaks.
Well, listen, they're fortunate to win, but they also did enough to win. So I'm not going to totally smash them. Every week's a new week. I will say that in terms of the clock management stuff, I love, obviously, when they get going, they like to go get to the line of scrimmage, call the play there, be up tempo, don't let them. That's when they're at their best, clearly. But I felt like in the fourth quarter, when we're going to get the ball back at least twice, and we just had to score one of the 2 times that we would salt the game away. But Jaden and he was snapping the ball with 15 seconds left. And I was like, dude, burn more
the clock
time.
A little bit. Yeah.
Now, there was like 8 minutes to go, so it wasn't like it was obviously a thing. But, I mean, you could tell the way the game was trending. We're just trying to, let's take our time here. And I just didn't like the way we were managing the clock. Maybe there were 6 minutes left. Whatever it was, Jaden was snapping the ball when he could have ripped off another 10 seconds. And all this nonsense at the end never would have been an issue.
Yeah.
Because it could take more time off the clock as we were trying to just get out of there with a W.
That's an interesting point, EB.
You should watch it.
I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was like 6 or 7 minutes left or whatever it was. it was in like in our last 2 or 3 possessions, we could have just burned more clock.
Well, Chris, on the last possession when they missed the field goal before they, the 54-yard, they ran 13 plays.
Yep.
They only got 28 yards, but they only burned 5 minutes. 13 plays should burn more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, because they're snapping it with too much time.
That's a good point, Bish. 54 yards, realizing, okay, yes, it's indoor. Yes, he's got the leg. Yes, that is a kick that a lot of guys make. It's also a kick a lot of guys miss. And if you miss it, what happens? You don't get the ball. You don't turn the ball over to Spencer freaking Rattler at the 37-yard line at the spot. You turn the ball over at the 44. Now, 7 yards, maybe not a big deal to everyone, but why give them a free 7 yards, even if the field goal would have theoretically put the game out of touch? And I get what DQ's trying to do. To me, way too risky. I would have used Tressway, punt, coffin corner, play defense, make Rattler go 90, 92, 93 yards, whatever it was.
I understand it, but I mean, DQ answered it. I mean, and you said it. They're indoors.
Yeah.
They made their determination before the game. If we're the 38 or better, we're going to kick it.
I don't know how you trust that guy, EB.
I guess you figure he's a pro.
Well, and maybe he second guesses it if that situation comes up again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would second guess it, especially considering, again, going back to the original clock malfunction at the end of the third quarter, he missed a 40, it was a 41-yarder that they allowed him to kick after the game clock had expired for 5 seconds.
I don't know how they botched that. But
to me, that sticks in my mind, and I'm sorry. I know he should make that, but I don't trust. I've seen. I mean, that sucked. That was their guy, and they let Joey Sly go, and that seemed to be the right move. Now, who knows how it would have worked out? But I mean, it's been a carousel, and it's not just inefficiency; it's also injury. So it's inefficiency and injury after Seibert got banged up. And remember how good Seibert was for the first 5 or 6 games that he was here.
Yeah, need him back. But again, 20-19 going forward. They got to play Philly, obviously, this weekend. That's going to be very difficult. Atlanta at home. We'll see what Atlanta does in the next couple of weeks. They got a couple of cupcakes, but they have been playing horrible. And then you end with Dallas. I'm kind of with Bickle. The fact that this team won 4 games last year and now they're 9-5, it doesn't really matter how you win. I mean, I know that's what we do. We kind of dissect how you play, but I don't even care really how you win. The fact that you're in the playoffs right now after such a dreadful season last year, it's just an incredible turnaround.
Yeah, no doubt, Bish. I mean, I understand. The ultimate goal is to win, and however you win, you win. That being said, are you going to blow it? I thought this was going to be a really tough game. I had the Saints plus the 8. I said to everybody all week, I said the Saints are averaging less than 16 points a game allowed under the interim head coach, Darren Rizzi. They were allowing a good amount of yards on the run, but that was in 2 games. They had basically controlled the Rams, which was the explosive offense that they had faced a couple of weeks ago, granted in a loss, but they held them to 21 points. Other than that, they had shut down pretty much. So I thought this was going to be an ugly, tight struggle. Now, did I think it would exactly come down? Of course not. The one thing that I will say, right, so I'm not so negative and so, how about Terry McLaurin? I mean, not only touchdowns 10 and 11, but the way he got to both of those, the routes and the effort and what he had to do. If you look at the next gen stats, and I mean, obviously we all watch the game, right? I mean, he runs an out route from the right side for the first touchdown and then diagonally cuts 2/3 of the way over across the field and catches one on the run. And it's a seed in a tight window. And Jaden slips and falls right before he throws it. Think about all these little things that as we dissect and point out the negative and talk about what they didn't do and what they did do right. And we got to give them credit. And then obviously Terry had the second one. And in my mind, I'm trying to remember all the different little things. I think that was from the right as well, but I would have to go back
it was from the right.
and watch it again. And it was just another seed by Jaden. So, I mean, there is good things to take from this and talk. Marshawn Lattimore drawing blanks, right? Now, maybe that was the Saints and they just knew not to bleep with him, but he hadn't played in 6 weeks. You would think, hey, man, let's test him out. Let's see how that old hamstring is doing. He completely took them out. Now I know they don't have Olave. I know they don't have the other kid that was Rashid. Yeah, that was so good. I got it. I understand that, but these are the positives.
Yeah. Daniels took 8 sacks. I don't know how many of those would have been on him. I noticed a couple when they showed the overhead on the instant replay. There were some guys open across the middle that he could have seen, but he was just bouncing around and he was looking to run. They got to be better. Certainly this week against Philly.
There was one to Crowder. Crowder was wide open, left flat. I think that was one of the Chase Young sacks, if memory serves me correct. There were a couple. I think, I've seen some people that said, well, 4 or 5 on the offensive line. I mean, I haven't gone back and watched the all 22 yet, so I have no idea. And even if I do, and when I do, it's not like I have a definitive answer. Here's what I would say. This has been a thing all year where he has missed people that are open that he could have gotten to, what have you. What we don't know is what the progression, what the call is, what he's supposed to be reading. Mm-hmm. And just because a guy flashes open doesn't mean that he badly, of course he missed them, but it doesn't mean that's what he was supposed to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the progression, in the route, in the play concept, what have you. So I'm always a little hesitant to say, wow, he just missed a guy wide. Yes, I know it looks bad. One thing I will say is he missed a couple of throws in this game that normally he would pull the string on to Terry too. And I thought Terry hurt him when Terry found a busted coverage up the right sideline. I think this was late third, early fourth, somewhere in that range. Terry slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, wide open. Yeah.
So and so they missed 3 big plays. And if they make one of those, we're not like bemoaning.
Right.
And obviously, if the clock error doesn't happen at the end of the game, we're not bemoaning such a tight win.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, they're way ahead of pace.
Yep,
they've got their quarterback, and I actually don't mind.
But at some point, you step and poop, and it doesn't come smelling up like roses, right? So, like, if your screws are on, and they're on tight this week, which they should be, you've accomplished nothing, even though you've won 9 games. I think that leads to a better performance this Sunday than if you came in off a second consecutive blowout and everything was right. Just one little thing. I don't know how much, like you talk to people around the NFL, like we were at Radio Row for the Army-Navy game on Friday. Everyone that I talked to, Mike Mayock, Ron Rivera came up to me, just, hey, great to see you. And I hadn't seen him in like 11 months. First thing he says, man, you guys got a great quarterback, and he's probably thinking, boy, if I had that, like everyone that you talk to, Hugh Douglas, again, I mentioned Mayock, EJ Manuel, they couldn't, Joe Theismann, of course, who you guys, have could not stop gushing about Jaden Daniels. And when you have Jaden Daniels, even if things don't look right, even if things don't feel right, even if things don't always go right, you got a chance.
100%. Totally.
I mean, that 3rd and 14 play where he ran for 25 yards. I mean,
that's why it's special.
Yeah, that's insane. And I don't even remember if they scored on that possession. But that play, you're absolutely right, Jason. That play encapsulates everything. I don't want him running as much as he is. I think he's still going to get hurt. I live in fear of that. But that play just encapsulates everything that they.
I thought he did a great job protecting himself yesterday.
Yes,
great job getting down.
But when you run 11 times,
but when you get sacked 8 times
by necessity or design, and then you get sacked 8 times, and you're not running the football by design effectively from the start, which I didn't understand, but whatever. And Biotish being out hurt.
Definitely,
it's going to lead to some of the wacky numbers.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with some of these injuries with Zach Ertz and Chin and Biotish.
That's going to hurt. Yeah, that's going to hurt if those guys aren't available, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, Chin was definitely knocked out. I don't know what they're doing. Like, he was knocked out, and he was telling guys he's fine, and God bless him. I like that. Yeah. But somebody's going to look at that and say, no, dude, you got to be in the protocol.
Oh, he's going to be, I would imagine he's going to be in the protocol all week. The question is how, does he have any symptoms and all that? I mean, that's the thing. It's not protocol or however they diagnose it or whatever he says on Sunday, it's what do you do on Thursday and Friday, and can you ramp up the process, and do you have headaches or setbacks or nausea or anything like that? So we won't know until the end of the week, and they're not going to be available. Both him and Ertz are not going to be available to talk and actually say, and even if they say anything, still don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Russell.
Thank
Appreciate
you guys.
it, buddy.
Happy holidays.
Yep,
Appreciate
you too.
Thank you,
Merry
Chris.
Christmas.